Hi, today we are talking about digitization. As you would remember in the first or second video of this course, the first module, digitalization, we talked about differences between digitalization, and digital transformation. Okay, as in the okay, so do you remember what it means? Okay, unless we can do some refresh. Digitization was to move an analogic document to a digital environment. Okay, digitalization was to do a manual process to transform it in a digital procedure or improve that process using technology. Okay, but at the same time improving the process not just by technology but also by methodology in order to be more efficient. Okay? And then the third level was a digital transformation, which included a cultural change, some processes, organization, structures, strategy change, and it's a more complex. Okay, but today, in regarding to data sources, we are talking about the first level, which is digitization, because in most of companies that you will be approaching, you are going to find paper-based documents that could be used, or also you can find documents in old computers or in legacy systems that need to be transformed and prepared in order to be analyzed, okay, and incorporated to our data sets. Okay, why it's important? Because we can unlock valuable information that have been stored for years or for months in outdated software systems. Okay, or also we can have paper archives that can enable us to improve our analytics. Okay, and also, well, having that data digitalized reduces risks associated with data loss, compliance issues, inefficiencies, and also allow us to do some research and analytics in order to better decisions, okay, due to a more organized and better data, okay. Well, the first step to to digitize a document or to digitize an old document in a laptop, in a old computer that need to be transformed. The first step is to look, localize or to identify where is this document currently, okay, and classify them depending on the type of data that we need to digitize, okay. If it's on paper, if it's on a CD-ROM, if it's on a cassette, that we talked to about that 2 videos ago. Which file formats are we using? Okay, and if it's in a new computer but in a legacy application with an outdated file. Okay, and as said in the previous video too, please ensure that we are only digitizing or processing meaningful and usable data. Okay, too much data that in some cases is not convenient. Okay, can drive to intoxication or too much information that you are blocked. Okay, or that you can have unexpected results that maybe they are not true or they are not driven to action. Okay, so the first step to classify it is to list and categorize documents. Okay, as example, invoices, contracts, error logs, sales, whatever. Okay, also videos, images if it's interesting to your case. Okay, then identify legacy systems that are still being used in that company. AS400, COBOL, Microsoft Access with data. Okay, so identify the applications that are still being used or they were used in the past and they are kept, okay, in in an old computer, that there are someone in the administration department or the production department that eventually goes there and check some information. Okay, so identify that systems. Then we should evaluate the data value. Okay, if it's interesting, convenient to use it or not, or we should discard it. Okay, and then if there are some legal restrictions or some information retention requirements, like for example in Spain, I think it's 5 years that we need to keep some um, sales documentation or other contracts, that we should have them 5 years at least. Okay, depending on the country uh, or the frame that we are moving, there are some legal requirements that we need to fulfill. Okay, then prioritize that data sets in order to um, two aspects. Okay, the first one is to the potential impact or business relevance, and then the urgency of using that data. Okay, well, regarding to paper-based documents, we should scan them and convert them into a readable or machine readable format. Okay, we can use both hardware and software tools, and optical character recognition softwares combined with some structured file management um, applications. Okay, so here there are four types or strategies that we can use. Okay, the first one is to use an OCR software. That you will remember that in the third video of this course we talked about key technologies, and one of them was OCR. Okay, OCR is a technology that can extract data from an image. Okay, so you take a picture of a ticket and you scan it and extract the main concepts inside the ticket. Okay, and the same, you can use it to scan a Word document, for example, or a printed document, and transform it to a Word file. Okay, recognizing the characters and transforming it. Okay, so it's very powerful. We can use Acrobat DC, which is installed in most of the computers, but you should have the Pro version. Okay, in most of the cases, it's a paid version that you have a subscription model or whatever. Then Tesseract OCR. It's also, I think, it used to be open source. Now, which is part of Google, I'm not sure if it's still full open source with all accessibility, or if it's some premium features that you need to pay for. Okay. Then some manufacturers of printers and scanners, they have their own hardware and some softwares in order to high speed scanning. Okay, where you can put, I don't know, like 500 papers in that printer or that scanner, industrial scanners, and in less than 5 minutes you have everything scanned. Okay, so sometimes it's convenient to use one of these if you are going to process thousands and thousands of papers or documents. Okay, then there are all other solutions like Iris Power Scan or Kofax Express that allow you to do some batch scanning for a lot of documents, and it includes, it's similar in the basis, it's similar of Canon on Ricoh. Okay, it's scanning a lot of documents. Okay, but Iris Power Scan and Kofax Express, you can include more in Iris Power Scan some automations in order to be more efficient. Okay, and move that documents to a specific folder depending on some cases, and you can do some workflows in order to automate it. And then once we have every paper-based document in our computer, it's convenient to use some file organization software solutions. Okay, that you can add some tags, metadata, some namings, and organize them by type, by year, by whatever criteria you want to use, and have it in a collaborative approach. Also, you can have access control, roles, permissions inside there, and also you can have a log of access. Okay, so you can track who when and where access each specific document. And some of them, like DocuWare, for example, allow also to digital signing of documents, which is it's a pretty good tool, okay, to have everything controlled inside the organization, okay. It's more focused for legal or contract or sensitive information projects, but there is another option which is included in the Microsoft 365 suite, which is SharePoint, which is very powerful, collaborative, and it's integrated in most of the applications from Microsoft and other partners. Okay, so this would be some tools and methods that you could use for dealing with paper-based documents. Okay, now we are focusing on how to process that data. Okay, so the first step, once we have digitized and extracted the data that we wanted, okay, now it's time to clean them, format it, integrate it with current systems to ensure consistency. Then that transformation allow us to use queries to point to that data and extract the parameters that we need, to analyze also, and also to join them or merge them with current data sets. Okay, so in order to process data, the steps would be to first to remove duplicates, encoding or formatting errors. Okay, then to normalize the formats. Okay, dates. It's a key example. In one data set, we are using the United States hour and date format, okay? And in other ones, we are using the European Union format, okay? So if we are combining data from both data sets in the same document, the dates are not going to be the same, okay? Are the same with the hours, or even with the currency. If it's euro, if it's dollar, we need to transform it. Or if we are using a point or a comma to divide decimals in a number, okay? All of that information should be transformed and processed in order to standardize it and allow compatibility among data and reduce error rates, okay? Then we can map fields from legacy schemas to modern databases, okay? In order to have it clear what you had in the previous systems and to have the schema or the mapping from the modern aspect. Okay, and then we can enrich data with tags, metadata, or reference tables. Okay, so we can add tags like I don't know, this data proceed from AES 400 system, okay? Or this data it's collected from papers from the company that we have bought recently. Okay, or no, you can add some tags and also metadata like place, hour, date, system, a lot of metadata that most of the systems allow you to use. Okay, well, once we have that data digitized, okay, and we have ensure that it's transformed and processed so we can use it, is the moment to decide how to secure that data, okay? And which access policies should we deploy, okay? Who can access to what, from where, from house, from remotely, just local, okay? Which team, which person exactly, or if you can access just that information for 1 month, okay? All of that we can use it. Okay, so there are some techniques or recommendations. First one is to cross-validate again digitized data against the original records in order to see if there are significant errors. Okay, then archive raw scans for compliance or legal traceability before transforming them. Set up roles, permissions, and some data retention policies, and store it in centralized repositories. Okay, thank you.